Well, this is a pretty big story for today. You have the Texas GOP and their convention allegedly, apparently throwing Muslims out of the Texas GOP state convention. Trying to, they can't, and then so they amended some rules to be able to do that. Why? And who are the Muslim folks that were there saying they're Republicans? Some would say claiming to be Republicans. And what are their ties to CAIR, the Council on Islamic American Relations, which is a foreign terrorist organization named by our governor and by the governor of Florida and by me. So we're going to get into that big time, and you're going to see some audio. Thanks to my friend Marco Hunter Lopez, who you know very well. Marco provided me with some of the video that I'm going to share with you from the Texas GOP convention when all this went down. It is quite sparks quite fly on this one, I'll tell you that. Also, I have for you Karmelo Anthony. What are his chances on winning on appeal? Does he have a good chance? And also, I have not breached this yet until I got some more official stuff, but a member of the State Board of Parole, I believe it was, said some absolutely horrible, Texas parole supervisor, absolutely horrible things about Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. And then Wylie East High School, where it all started with Marco Hunter Lopez and the Islamization of that school. Well, as I've said, a Wylie East assistant principal in Wylie, Texas, of course, taken into custody for trying to groom children. More details on that coming across the wire from WFAA TV Channel 8 here in Dallas-Fort Worth. All that's coming. Oh, and the war in Iran, and this Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, the agreement. I have a lot to say about all that. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy is my guy, and you need to use him and tell him Chris Croc sent you. I'm enjoying seeing pictures of Randy and his beautiful wife. They were on the French Riviera. Now they're in Italy or something. Oh, my gosh. God bless you guys. They're having a great time, and they deserve every bit of it. He works very, very hard and has for years. Okay. So Texas Tribune doing like an 8-page article because all these leftist outlets always have to write a novella every time they write an article, particularly when it involves Muslims and Republicans and the Texas GOP. Now, I'm going to share excerpts of this lengthy piece, and I also have a video from what transpired. And the question is, does the founder of CAIR in Houston and his son say they're Republicans? Do we by meaning I'm a Republican, I don't have a mouse in my pocket, it's just me, but do we want members of CAIR being in the Republican Party? I do not, because CAIR is a foreign terrorist organization. CAIR is an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest ever terrorism fundraising case in U.S. history. CAIR, just to set this up for you, the president and founder of CAIR, Nihad Awad, said he absolutely loved, he regaled, he just was so happy and excited about October 7th, the rape, the brutal murder, the kidnapping, and the mutilation of bodies and women's sex organs and raping of men. He absolutely just loved seeing all that. He was so happy. In fact, that's what he said. I'm so happy. This is Nihad Awad, the founder of CAIR, right after October 7th.
The people of Gaza only decided to break the siege, the walls of the concentration camp, on October 7th. And yes, I was happy to see people breaking the siege and throwing down the shackles of their own land and walk free into their lands that they were not allowed to walk in.
He was very happy to see the terrorist attacks on October 7th. So that is CAIR. Also, as I mentioned, I want to just give a teeny bit of history on this. I do it a lot, but I want to make sure, in case you don't know. The Holy Land Foundation was in Richardson, Texas. in Dallas-Fort Worth, and it was the largest ever terrorism fundraising case in United States history, raising between $5 and $7 million, pretending for it to be Palestinian aid, but it was for terrorism, to fund terrorism, to kill Jews. And CAIR is an unindicted co-conspirator in that case. Several people from the Holy Land Foundation went to jail for decades, are still in jail, and for terrorism fundraising. And CAIR was labeled by the court and by the FBI and the Department of Justice as an unindicted co-conspirator. What does that mean? CAIR was, for example, as they were wiretapping and bugging rooms in this investigation, the FBI and DOJ, CAIR was sitting in a room, in a hotel room in Boston, with Holy Land members, Holy Land Foundation members, talking about, and CAIR said this, and I believe it was Nihad Awad that was even on that wire, I believe. That's what I read. That Nihad Awad was in there and saying, according to the report I read, that we need to wage a jihad in America, a nonviolent jihad, where we use the freedoms of this country, the laws of this land, and the media to turn this country against itself in the furtherance of jihad, of the spread of Islam. Gee, does that sound like Europe to you? So, also CAIR is a front group for the Muslim Brotherhood and for Hamas. That is CAIR, along with the Muslim. Some of the folks in here that were at the Republican convention they attempted to throw out. They're crying in here. They're saying they're hurt and that they want to be Republicans. They are Republicans. But some of the folks in here are part of other Muslim groups that are also no-go for me under any circumstances. So I'll get into that. And you're going to hear some heavy-handedness by some of the Republicans where it's like, okay, that's going too far. Let me share the story, and I have video that I will share with you from one of the folks at the Texas GOP doing motions to kick these folks out of the Republican Party right then and there out of the convention. Okay, this from the Texas Tribune today. They talk about Mohammed Hussein. Mohammed Hussein is confirming for himself. He went to the Republican Party of Texas convention to confirm for himself that he had a place in the GOP, they say. This is a setup. This is a total setup right here. Even as members of the party have railed for months against the urgency of ending Sharia law and the so-called Islamification of Texas. Well, yes, when you are trying to build a Muslims-only city illegally from the East Plano Islamic Center, when you are trying to have a Muslims-only event at a public event which is discriminatory and unconstitutional, when you are trying to have an illegal Muslim university, when you are having Muslim tribunals courts in Dallas, you better believe we don't want the Islamification of Texas. When we have Muslims, 4 adult professional Muslim proselytizers passing out Qurans, hijabs, and understanding Sharia pamphlets to our high school students in a public school in Wylie East High School in Wylie, Texas, then yes, we're talking about fighting and stopping the Islamization of Texas. Yes. Assimilate. You can be Muslim. That's not what this is about for me. But you must assimilate. And what I see around Epic Mosque, for example, is not assimilation whatsoever. I've shown you pictures. I've shown you the community there. It's been totally turned into an Islamic neighborhood. And that's just a fact. Now, so Texas Tribune, leftist publication, obviously says that this Muslim man, Mohammed Hussein, went to the Republican Party GOP convention, and what he found was a party that didn't want him. He arrived with hope but left in tears. To me, this is the classic story of I'm a victim, which goes back to what CAIR said in the hotel room. Use the press, use the freedoms to turn this country against itself, playing the victim. And CAIR and its followers and its members are very good at playing the victim to get what they want. When they say Sharia free, that means Muslim free, no practice of Islam, says this Muslim man. And by the way, that's your decision. You can decide to say Sharia free means Muslim free, but Sharia free means no Islamic rule or law in this country. There is Marcos Lopez chiming in, and you can chime in if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble. Just go to YouTube or Rumble, and it's right here. I'll put it up on the screen for you. Croc Talk, Kroktalk on YouTube and Rumble. And then when you're watching live, you can comment like Marcos just did. He said, don't California or Texas. That's exactly right. Okay. Also, they say that the outgoing GOP chair, Abraham George, on Saturday addressed Muslim delegates from the stage members tried to expel them from the convention. He says, quote, Abraham George says at the time, "I would strongly advise you to leave our caucus. There is a Democrat convention happening in a couple weeks. Join them." Yes, if you're going to be a member of CAIR and a supporter of CAIR and Sharia law, yes. Yes. Now, there's going to be some compassionate points in here where I disagree with the way some people treated these Muslim folks, but that is correct. On Saturday, Mohammed Hussein attended a panel from the Judeo-Christian Caucus moderated by Dr. Rick Scarborough, a former Southern Baptist pastor. Scarborough accused Muslims of lying to win political power. Quote, "You're going to find Muslims that aren't being antagonistic or mean, at least not publicly, but I'll guarantee you if they get power, they'll cut your head off as believers of Christ." Now, that's a little harsh. I'm not going to lie to you. That's a little harsh. And it's going to blow up in a minute, and you're going to see what happens in this story. State Senator Bob Hall said Muslims are required by Sharia to lie in order to stay below the radar of being aggressive. That is true, from my opinion. Hussein said he was appalled by what he was hearing. And so the big question is, did Mr. Hussein, Mr. Mohammed Hussein, did he go to this? His father is reportedly the founder of CAIR in Houston. And remember that CAIR is a foreign terrorist organization. Remember that they are an indicted co-conspirator in the largest ever terrorism fundraising case in U.S. history. Remember that CAIR sued after that case to get their name removed as an unindicted co-conspirator, and the judge says, no, you are an unindicted co-conspirator, and you always will be. That will never change. You lose. They try to get the name removed, but they are, because that's who they are. And this guy's dad is the founder of CAIR in Houston, so you are telling us who you are by what your affiliations are and by what groups you lead. Groups that support terrorism, that support Hamas, that support wiping out Jews from the river to the sea, meaning kill all 8.9 million Jews in Israel. Continuing on. Hussein said, "What do you want me to do? Leave?" to the pastor, Scarborough. "Yes," said Scarborough. Hussein, sobbing, turned from Scarborough, retreating to some chairs to cry alone. Now, this is really coming across like the classic, acting. Maybe it's not. I wasn't there, but this is coming across as in the classic, I'm a victim, which is what CAIR is all about, to further its cause. The pastor then placed an arm around the back of Hussein and on his seat and then leaned in to console him. Quote, "If you're going to embrace the values and teachings that you're advocating for," the pastor said, "there's no place in America for you. That's not assimilation. That's taking over." Now, if you're talking about CAIR and you're talking about Sharia law, that's correct. If you're talking about being a Muslim like Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, who is a moderate Muslim who calls out Sharia, who calls out Hamas, who calls out CAIR, says they're a terrorist organization, fronts for the Muslim Brotherhood, that's a different story. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, running as a Republican in the state of Arizona in the Phoenix area, is on Mark Levin's show regularly. I've had him on shows I've filled in for over the past couple of years. He is fantastic. He is a fully assimilated Muslim, not this garbage. And so there is a space for Muslims in the Texas GOP and in the GOP in general. But it's not with CAIR. It's not with people who support CAIR. This man attended the convention. Mr. Hussein attended the convention with his father, Tariq Hussein, who founded CAIR Texas chapter in Houston. Well, that's it, brother. Your dad is a member of a foreign terrorist organization, and you are apparently supporting that, and you and your dad are simpatico. It's over. I don't want you in any caucus or party as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if you want to vote Republican, that's totally your choice. I'll take any votes, but I'm just saying, I don't want you caucusing with us, and you don't have a place with the party that I'm a part of if you're a CAIR member. You do not. There's just no question. Denounce the affiliation, denounce trying to fight for Sharia law and make it an issue, and then we're good. Now, I'm going to give you more details, but let me first play for you some of the audio because this is pretty wild what happened at the Texas GOP convention over the weekend when they're trying to expel these there's 4 Muslim people there was a ruckus going on with this, and they tried to expel them. They couldn't expel them. They tried, but they did amend the rules so that next year they can expel them if they choose. Here we go.
County convention, and they were awarded delegate status. These 2 gentlemen, Tariq Hussein and Amjad Mutasib, one of them, Tariq Hussein, is the founder of CAIR Texas, and the other man serves on the board. These gentlemen have affiliations with an organization that Governor Greg Abbott and President Donald Trump declared to be terrorist organizations. We should not be allowing terrorists to come into our convention. And by the way, that's right, their social media connections also have connections to the Muslim Brotherhood. All I hear is every candidate saying, stop the Islamification of Texas. Well, let's start right now.
I agree with that, and I agree with not having any supporters, sympathizers, or members of CAIR at all in the Texas GOP convention. 100%. Let's continue on with what this Republican official said.
SD 24, I am the Credentials Committee Chair for this convention. We need to strengthen Rule 27 to allow credentials to remove delegates from serving who have affiliations with designated terrorist organizations.
Yes, ma'am. You need to make a motion, please. I am on board.
I move that we take this action immediately and revoke the delegates that currently are in this room who have ties to CAIR, which has been designated a terrorist organization by Governor Abbott and President Donald Trump.
Bonnie, I need a motion. What is your amendment?
Bonnie, restate your motion.
I move that Rule 27 be amended to allow Credentials Committee to revoke credentials from anyone who has affiliations with a terrorist organization.
Sounds about right to me. Yes, we don't have a place for you if you're a member of CAIR, support them, or want Sharia law. We do not. I mean, it's just that simple. There's nothing to be ashamed about that. So this man and his father, who founded CAIR Houston, were there. The man's crying. A couple other Muslim men were there. You heard some of the other names there. In 2014, the UAE, it's not just us, it's not just Texas and Florida, the UAE, United Arab Emirates, a Muslim nation, designated CAIR and the Muslim American Society as terrorist groups. And that is accurate. And they would know. As terrorist groups alleging ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. In a social media post Friday, Frank Gaffney, a defense policy analyst and Defense Department official under President Reagan, referred to some of Hussein's old writings and as a paper on how to infiltrate political parties, quote unquote. Get out. Go infiltrate somebody else's party. Out, out, out. And I think one of the messages here is, while some of this may have been inartful, it's the right thing to do. Do not sit down with a terrorist organization, a passerby at the convention told a woman sitting next to, this was a woman wearing a hijab, she's sitting next to a man named Samer Halabi. She says, do not sit down with a terrorist organization. You know their CAIR, right? Miss Halabi said, I care about everybody, as in trying to make light of it. Shortly thereafter, another attendee approached Halabi and told her to leave the country. She wept into her husband's chest. Now, I don't know if that happened. Obviously, you don't say that to somebody that's mean and that's rude unless they're, calling for things like CAIR or Sharia or that kind of stuff. Then there is no place for you in this country. Leave. Go to Europe. Go Islamify them. But yeah, that you don't do that to somebody. That's mean and that's rude. There's no need to do that. Now, did somebody not? But can we trust this woman? I don't know. It's hearsay right now. One of the other Muslim spoke to CAIR. Spoke at a. Well, look at this. One of the other Muslims, Amjad Muhtaseb. Amjad Muhtaseb. I think she mentioned his name. Spoke at a CAIR news conference about Abbott's CAIR designation in his capacity as the executive director of the Muslim American Society, Houston. And let's go back to what UAE said. The Muslim American Society is a terrorist group. So it's Muslim Brotherhood. So you have somebody who spoke at a CAIR event, who's part of the Muslim American Society, Houston, a terrorist group. You have this man said that it was his only affiliation with the organization is that, he said. Well, guess what? CAIR and Muslim American Society, you're out. Go. It is what it is, man. Denounce it. Don't be a part of it, but you're a part of it. You got to go. Throughout the week, members of the convention attempted to remove them as delegates. The party concluded that even the full convention didn't have power to boot them, so they updated the rules so that next time in 2028 when they meet, they can remove people that are tied to a terrorist organization. So the message is assimilate or leave. Tariq Hussein, the guy who founded CAIR Houston, said they have the right to practice Islam as long as nothing contradicts the Constitution. Yes, but Sharia law contradicts the Constitution. Tariq Hussein said, how come you try to create a boogeyman called Sharia law? Well, because Sharia law is antithetical to this country, our values, and our Constitution. That's why. I would say, how come you're a part of a foreign terrorist organization? Another man, the son of Mr. Hussein said, the founder of CAIR, his son said, CAIR in Houston, he said, how can I possibly get behind a party that tells me to leave, that says convert or leave? Now, for me personally, I ain't saying convert, I'm saying assimilate and denounce those organizations. Mr. Hussein also said, I will be voting for Republicans who denounce this extremism. To which I will say, well, denounce this extremism. Whose extremism are you talking about? Are you talking about CAIR, which your dad founded in Houston? Or are you talking about us? Because if you're talking about us, go. But some people are mean here. Can't lie. The pastor Scarborough said he had some regrets about the way he handled talking to Mr. Hussein. When Hussein broke down crying, Pastor Scarborough said he realized he had pushed Hussein too hard. Scarborough said he had asked God and Hussein for forgiveness for not setting a good example of Judeo-Christian morality. And that is exactly right. God does not talk to people and treat people like that. If you want to bring somebody over, because he says right here, I'm trying to process how somebody can say this and then the Muslim guy says, I'm trying to process how somebody can say this and then try to pray for me. But he said he forgave Scarborough, which is really nice. But yeah, you don't bring somebody to Christ if they're a Muslim by saying you get out of the country and all this other stuff. Many hear these things, says Mr. Hussein, the messaging, and think they're dog whistles. I was hopeful that I'd come here and get a clarification. What we got was kind of confirmation. So that tells me it was a setup. You came here for clarification. What you got was confirmation. You say dog whistle. You are there, to me, when I read that, you are infiltrating the group, and you should be thrown out and not welcome back, period. That's what I walk away from with this. All right? Now, coming up next, Karmelo Anthony. Does he have a decent chance of appeal? And the parole supervisor, black parole supervisor lady who went insane with Karmelo and said vile, totally over the top, racial things that are just vile about Karmelo and Austin Metcalf. Hint, it supports Karmelo and not the victim, Austin Metcalf. It's really sick. I saw that post up the other day on X, but I don't like doing things unless I can get a little more confirmation because I don't want to just repeat something that it's wrong. And it sure is right. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Look at Randy and me and his team, George, Bond, and Ray. All four of us are sitting there hanging out. That's literally almost 10 years ago. That's how long we've partnered together. That's how long he's been my CPA. Here's Randy speaking at UT Austin, the best state school for accountancy, inside the best accountancy school in the state, where he graduated from. Here he is speaking to the students. Look at how young they are, huh? Boy, they're looking younger and younger. So go to IRSprob.com. I had a beautiful, wonderful surprise with my taxes this year because Randy Martin's my tax planner. He's amazing. Maybe you had a death in the family and you have some tax issues. Maybe you got tax issues with yourself or your business, or maybe you just want a good tax planner. He's the best. Go to IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, as he says, or call 214-214-3000. That's 214-214-3000, and tell him Chris Crock sent you. I am wearing my Due West Foundation and Plumbing, camera's backwards, right? My Due West Foundation and Plumbing shirt. If you want the best, call Due West. Before I bought this house, Due West, which is owned by my friend Jim Dutton, who's the host of Texas Home Improvement in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and Houston on the radio and television. My friend Jim Dutton I hired his company, Due West Foundation and Plumbing, to come over to my house to do a static plumbing test to make sure there's no leaks in the pipes under the house, and number 2, to inspect the foundation. And they said, your foundation's on the bubble, but if you do this, this, and this, you will not have a problem. It has been 11 years plus, and I do not have a problem. Thank you, Jim Dutton. Thank you for Due West Foundation and Plumbing. And then when I had 17 feet of pipe underneath my slab foundation that had to be replaced, because they're foundation and plumbing, they did both. You do not want to have a separate plumber from a foundation company. They will throw each other under the bus. Jim is right. He preaches that. They did my, because once they replace and they dig all that dirt, they have to put piers in there for the foundation because the dirt can't be packed in the way it was beforehand. So you want them. They do concrete leveling. They do retention walls, plumbing, foundation. They do root shields around my house to keep the roots from underneath the foundation from hurting it, and they've even did some major regrading stuff for my house. So if you want the best, call Due West. That's du-west.com, du-west.com. Did I tell you my wife worked at Due West for 3 years and became very good friends with Mary and, of course, Jim, and we're friends with Johan and Adam, their 2 sons. It's a 3 generations of Duttons running this great business since the 70s. Call 972-406-0912, 972-406-0912, or go to du-west.com. That's du-west.com, and tell them Chris Crock sent you. Okay, Karmelo Anthony. He has a snowball's chance in hell of winning on appeal, about a 4% chance statistically, but he's not going to do it. I'm going to get into that in a moment. Most likely, you're going to hear from several experts that are former federal prosecutors, current criminal defense attorneys, SMU law professors. This is from a Dallas Morning News article today. But first, from a separate Dallas Morning News article, Texas parole supervisors, quote, racist take on Karmelo Anthony case was unacceptable, I think it says there. I hate it when the press tells us something is racist, because the press's job, although this is an opinion column, so that's fine, I guess, yeah, obviously, but you'll see it a lot in regular news articles where they're like racist. Their job is not to have an opinion. Their job is to tell you the facts and to quote people who have an opinion. Somebody they quote can say it's racist, but they often do it now, which is totally wrong. You can say racially charged, but in this case, they're calling it flat out racist. She is a now fired Texas Department of Criminal Justice supervisor. Most of us have seen this by now on social media, but if you haven't, here's what she said. She tweeted this out after Karmelo Anthony and the righteous verdict and conviction and 35-year prison sentence for Karmelo Anthony. Quote, she wrote, I am a parole supervisor at Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Karmelo will be okay. I can almost assure you he will be protected on the inside. I, for one, by the way, that goes against all the folks have said, there's been some really funny, when after he got convicted in those several days afterwards, some of you guys sent so many funny replies on X about, don't drop the soap or whatever, just some of the real creative ones, and it was very funny. I'll just leave it at that. So she says, I'm a parole supervisor. Karmelo will be okay. I, for one, don't give a bleep, expletive, about the family's loss. It's about time these bleep bigots feel the pain they have inflicted on other groups of people since the beginning of time. They. Who's they? You mean white people? Austin Metcalf, his dad? They? So what you're saying is Austin Metcalf and his dad were here at the beginning of time. No, that's false. You were not here at the beginning of time. You have grown up and you were working for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. What a loose cannon fool to publicly post and lack of control and just visceral, vile hatred for people because of their race. What a poison and what a sick type of person to be working anywhere in the state government or anywhere for any company that I don't know anybody who would want to hire this sick woman. She says, I don't give a blank about the family's loss. It's about time these blank bigots feel the pain they have inflicted on other groups of people since the beginning of time. So it's the get whitey thing. It's just like O.J. Simpson. Everybody knew he was guilty, but some people, black people were cheering, not all of them, but some were cheering, obviously, and saying he was innocent. And it's just a complete lie. It's a real sad place to be. I'm just glad we didn't have to bury another black child, she says. What a sick woman. Let them start burying some of theirs for a change. Bleep. I said what I said. This woman has a disease. It's a sick woman. Then the Dallas Morning News editorial board writes, this case is a terrible tragedy. A teenage boy, Karmelo, a teenage boy did an incredibly foolish thing. He did not do an incredibly foolish thing. He was filled with rage, anger, racial animus, and he murdered Austin Metcalf. It was not a foolish thing. It was an act of vile hatred, racial animus, and murder. That is not foolish. That is evil. He did an evil thing. We all have evil in our hearts, contrary to what some people think, like the leftists who have the signs up in the front yard. Hate has no home here. Let me tell you something. All those leftists that have those stupid signs up, I can go into your house, record it 24/7, and find hate in your house. Give me a few days. You'll say something or do something inside of your own house, like we all do, that is like, what is wrong with you? Where did that come from? Hate is in everybody's heart. Everybody's heart. As a Christian, all of us have hatred in our hearts. All of us, all sin and all fall short of the glory of God. Anyway, experts agree Karmelo Anthony verdict unlikely to be reversed. Yay! Here we go from Dallas Morning News. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in Dallas is where the appeal is going to go to. Defense attorneys, a law professor, former criminal trial judge say the verdict is likely to stand. Appellate courts generally don't like to disturb a jury verdict that's almost sacred, said a Dallas-based civil rights attorney. Appellate judges are especially disinclined to second-guess the fact determinations of juries, says an SMU law professor. What they're going to try to bring up is the Batson challenge, and we talked about this during the trial and after the trial. Batson challenge is saying you threw out somebody from a protected class, race, age, or whatever. You threw them off the jury, but that's not the case. The three black teachers that were thrown off the jury were thrown off because they're teachers, because teachers and social workers are people that are always thrown off the jury when you have something involving a youthful thing like this, with a youth committing murder or committing a crime, is what a lot of the experts said. A former criminal trial judge and federal prosecutor says, I think that the Batson challenge, where they're going to try to say that they threw those ladies off because they're black, I think that's a race-neutral reason, because they're teachers. That's a very common one. It's totally acceptable in mainstream courtrooms and juries and judges. He says, I think the conviction will stand on appeal, says this former trial judge and federal prosecutor that the Dallas Morning News interviewed. Also, he says he believes the appeal will fail because Judge Roach did his due diligence in presenting jurors with manslaughter. He went out of his way to try to give Karmelo Anthony a break. He couldn't do it, but the jurors could do it. And they chose, I'm so proud of them, they chose not to give him a break. They chose not to use because he gave him so many options to go lesser. He gave them the option of manslaughter. He gave them the option of he gave self-defense instructions to the jury. He also included they could do a sudden passion instruction. Sudden passion says you can consider that Karmelo Anthony acted impulsively because of an intense emotion when approached by Metcalf. But that's a lie. The jury said that is a lie. We rebuke this. Karmelo Anthony is a rage-filled, angry, racial animus-filled young man who murdered Austin Metcalf because he hates and he has racial animus. Remember his grandmama. His grandmama was yelling, racist, 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 after her grandson was convicted. That comes from the family. It's multi-generational racial animus, professionally aggrieved victims, victim class, folks. Even when you're the murderer, you're the victim. What a sad place to be. The instructions, this expert says, are meant to help the jury understand all of their legal options for a verdict in sentencing. The conviction, in my opinion, says this former trial judge and federal prosecutor, is rock solid. Texas law says individuals who lose the right to claim self-defense when they provoked the altercation, the Dallas Morning News says, with the intent of creating a pretext for attacking the victim. You provoke with a pretext so you can attack the victim. Provoke them and then murder them or attack them. That's what Karmelo did. And I'm going to read a few things that the witnesses said Karmelo said under that tent before he murdered them that show exactly this is what Karmelo did. He provoked them. So the only possible angle would be saying the word provoke, which is not the same common definition we use in Texas law. The appellate justices will likely review the case to ensure that Judge Roach properly defined the legal term provoke for the jury. And based on everything I've seen from Judge Roach, he did a fantastic job. He really did. And folks were upset about why are there no cameras in the courtroom? Why was there no audio? Because there were minors testifying, and he didn't want them to feel pressure or their identities to be leaked. He wanted them to be able to say what they believe, what they saw, and their opinions without being on camera or being recorded. Regardless, and the only bad thing about that, by the way, is I think he should release a transcript. I think they should release a transcript because people. I shared with you for a week the vile things Karmelo said. I'm going to share them with you again. The vile things he said to Austin Metcalf before he murdered him. And nobody knows. Whenever I share these, whether I'm filling it like this week, I'm filling in Indianapolis all week from 8 to 11 DFW time Central, 8 to 11 Central, 9 to noon Eastern. But as I'm filling in all week for this, I am I'm sharing this and because people like nobody knows this. Nobody dug into our local reporters who were sitting in that courtroom that were writing, transcribing, particularly Jobin Paniker from WFA TV Channel 8. He was transcribing everything the witnesses were saying and putting up on the WFA website. And you know every post was witness number 6 at 9:33. Witness number 7 comes in, a young person. Witness number 8 comes in, a black student comes in, and then boom, boom, boom. Here's what they said. Nobody went through that, and there's no transcripts, and that would actually really help. So, anyways, regardless, the Dallas-based criminal defense attorney, another Dallas-based criminal defense attorney, says that very few criminal cases are successfully reversed on appeal in Texas. Only about 4% of cases, so he ain't going to get out. And that's exactly the way it should go. Now, what did Karmelo say? And I'm not going to go in depth in this. Just going to read to you what you already know if you watch this show or you've seen my. I did a short video on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok on these vile things that Karmelo said, and I have never gotten as many views and shares on anything. It was like 350,000, maybe 400,000 views on my Facebook page, the Chris Crock Show Facebook page, and tens of thousands of shares. I don't even know. And then on Instagram, it was like 150,000. I don't even know, maybe 170,000 views. And on TikTok, it was like 120 something. I mean, it's just nobody knew this, and so it just completely blew up. And what I'm about to read to you and what I shared in that video is exactly what shows that Karmelo Anthony did provoke Austin Metcalf. Quote, as we all know, Anthony was asked to leave the tent 15 times. As we know, and here's the other thing, Karmelo said, quote, in that under the tent before he murdered Austin Metcalf, quote, I'll beat your ass. And I'm going to read the swear words. If you don't want to hear them, I understand. Tune out. He says, quote, I'll beat your ass. Anthony then challenged Metcalf to a fist fight. Metcalf said, I'm not going to fight at a track meet. Provoking. Also, Anthony said, quote, you're not going to move me. You're a bitch. Another thing Austin Metcalf said in that tent before murdering Karmelo said before murdering Austin, quote, y'all are ass. Another thing he said, I'm not leaving. I won't say the full word. I'll just say, he said, I'm not leaving. F y'all. And y'all a bunch of P words. Y'all not going to do nothing about it when he was asked to leave. Anthony had his backpack on. So he was telling everybody, and including Metcalf, that he was going to, he wanted to fight him, wanted to beat him. You're a bunch of P words, F y'all. So he was literally in there trying to be a gangster thug. My hypothesis, my theory on Karmelo Anthony. His family said they moved here from Baton Rouge for a better life, which is so stupid because Baton Rouge is in America, and Baton Rouge, while it might be a higher crime area, by all means, I'm not saying it's not, but it's not like you're coming from Bosnia, Herzegovina, or Kosovo or something in a war zone. So don't pull that crap with us. You brought your problems with you. And I believe, this is my theory, Karmelo Anthony was filled with anger, rage, a sense of not belonging. His parents have raised him to be a professional victim and racially aggrieved. And have animus and hatred, it appears, towards white people. And I believe that he was struggling to fit in. I believe he was he wanted to prove himself like we all did and did stupid things or didn't know how to fit in, awkward as a teenager. And I believe he was trying to establish his street cred, if you will, his credentials by beating people, threatening people, and his anger and rage. And maybe he was going to stab somebody and that would give him some, I don't know, man. But I think he was trying to prove himself and not fitting in. And I think he was filled with rage and something really, really is going on in his life. And by the way, other than what we're aware of, and by the way, why didn't they call Karmelo Anthony on the stand? He could have helped lessen the punishment. They didn't call him on the stand. I think, this is not fact, I believe because there's a lot of bad stuff in his family and with him that could have opened up a whole can of worms that would have made their case even worse. That's why I don't think they had him on. Because they're like, well, he had high grade point average. I'm not denying that. He had a job, and he was good with the job. I'm not denying that. But this guy was full of rage and animus. Something went on from the family and from him. I have a big check from my insurance company that I'm going to be signing and sending off to my mortgage company because I'm going to have a new roof being put. I'm in the process of getting ready to have a new roof being put on from Blue Ribbon Roofing. They are the absolute best company in Dallas-Fort Worth for roofing. They've put on way over 25,000 roofs in DFW. They've been in business for 32 years. I'm a USAA insurance member, which is a huge, incredible company if you can get in. Military, former military, son of military like me, is how you get in. And they do a ton of USAA work, which tells you how good their work is. And so my last roof replacement my roof's is mushy. And it's because they did not know code. My last roofer. Code says in Richardson, when you replace a roof, the roof has to be a certain amount of decking. And my mushy roof had the thin old decking that is not up to code. And that's one of the differences that Blue Ribbon Roofing did. There's damage for my windows, for my fence, and to my roof and stuff, and it's all being done by Blue Ribbon Roofing. They've already done some of the work, and it's incredible. Here is the family at Blue Ribbon Roofing: John and Tish on the right side, and on the left, John and Tish's son Trevor and his wife Jenna, and they win the Best of McKinney year after year after year for roofing. Here's their logo: BlueRibbonDFW.com, BlueRibbonDFW.com. That's BlueRibbonDFW.com, and tell them Chris Crock sent you. They are the best, and they're on my roof, and they should be on yours. All right, now, he appeared to be grooming her. This is from WFAA TV Channel 8. Brand new affidavits revealed. New details in the arrest of Wylie assistant principal. Now, again, why did disgraced former principal Tiffany Doolin, who was posing in the hijabs year after year for World Hijab Day, and then, according to multiple students, was overlooking 4 adult Muslim proselytizers illegally passing out Qurans, hijabs, and Sharia pamphlets in the middle of a school day to students, which is obviously unconstitutional, illegal, and insane and unthinkable. It was so unthinkable when Marco Hunter Lopez, the young man who I befriended his father and another gentleman in this whole thing. We call ourselves the Four Musketeers, Kyle, Katie Sims. When he did that video, I just didn't believe it was real, saying they passed out this Quran, the hijabs, this Understanding Sharia pamphlet. It was unbelievable, but it really happened. And so after we did our Bibles, Not Qurans event outside of Wylie East High School, it was covered by Fox News, New York Post. Marco testified in front of Congress for Chip Roy, at the behest of Chip Roy and Congressman Keith Self for the Sharia Free Caucus. And then the next day he was on Fox News, Will Kane. The next day he was on Glenn Beck. We had the school board meeting. The next day we did our Bibles Not Qurans rally. And then wouldn't you know it, within less than a week later, actually 1 week to the day later, after we did our Bibles Not Qurans, Principal Tiffany Doolin, the disgraced former principal of Wylie East High School, resigned. And so then within the next week comes out this thing about the assistant principal who was under her being arrested for allegedly grooming and trying to have sex with a minor student that was one of his students at Wylie East High School. Now today comes a second victim with new affidavits on what happened, and Channel 8 covers it. I'm going to read that for you. But then you go, so then as I said when this first came out, I said, well. And so I said, maybe did Tiffany Doolin actually resign because of this? I don't know. Was she aware of any of this? I don't know. So And remember, the school board was attacking all of us for speaking out about this. And they were doubling and tripling down. They still are. But look what's in their house right here. Wylie East High School, Wylie ISD caught with their pants down. Here are affidavits from police and from witnesses reported by WFAA TV Channel 8 today. Wylie East Assistant Principal Zachary New, quote, appeared he was grooming her. Affidavits reveal new details of the arrest of Wylie East Assistant Principal. A Wylie East coach contacted police after a 17-year-old graduate told him that New had sent messages asking to meet up and suggesting they shower together. How sick these people are, and they're all coming for our kids. How sick. The student later told investigators that New followed her on Instagram after graduation, then moved their conversations to Snapchat. Investigators say the student allowed police access to her accounts and then communicating with New while posing as her. The investigators continued to pose as her while communicating with him. Wow, huh? New then told the student, according to the affidavit, that she was his favorite student, suggested they would need to keep that a secret after the student told him she was not 18 yet. This guy is freaking grooming her. And she said, I'm not 18 yet. New allegedly responded that it did not change how he felt about her. Conversations became increasingly sexual. New discussed meeting in person, asked about showering together, sent shirtless photos, talked about having sex with her. Told her that his wife and young daughter would be out of town, invited her to spend the night at his house. These are some sick people. This guy's a sick dude. He agreed to give the student $20 to buy lingerie and offered to purchase alcohol for her. Investigators say that formed the basis for the solicitation of prostitution charge involving a person under 18. At this point, it appeared it was grooming. He was grooming her, an investigator writes. On a second affidavit that came in from that second charge a day or two later, Wylie East student who is expected to be a senior next year, he's grooming. So how many other victims are there? God forbid. I hope there's no more. The student told police that New began messaging her on TikTok in March before the two started texting. She alleged that the conversations became sexual, with New sending photos of himself in his underwear and the student sending photos of herself in a bra and panties. I mean, I wrote something here, and this is a complete understatement, but, too close to home. I mean, this is really, there are predators in your freaking backyard in your kid's school. And too close to home is too mild of a way to put it, but right there in your kid's school. They're in so many schools all over Texas, all over this country. The student also told investigators she met with New in May in the parking lot of LA Fitness in Saxe, where she said he kissed her and grabbed her buttocks. Police say cell phone data located TikTok and text messages that corroborated her account. He's been charged in this case, in this particular one. The second one was supported a charge for improper relationship between an educator and student, a second-degree felony under Texas law. Put this guy in jail for years. Put him in jail for years. Here's what I want to do. I want to play some video. I got some great video that I want to play for you. Here is our latest soccer, FIFA event. This is on. I don't think this is on our Fox affiliate here in DFW. I think it's on like the Fox streaming channel or something. But watch this. This is something else.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Okay, how you feeling?
My name is.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Hirochika Nakakuki.
Oh, wow.
It's live?
Okay.
It's
yes,
live?
Yes, it's live, baby.
Yeah.
Yes. How
Yeah.
excited are you?
Yeah.
You were
I love this guy.
so excited, right? Japan, right?
Excuse me.
Okay.
I cannot speak English, but
Okay.
I'm excited.
I love it! Yeah, baby! Let's go!
Japan.
Japan, baby! Look, it's lit. Okay, what are we looking at? Oh my gosh, can you tell me what this is? We're looking at his back.
Japanese. Toyama. Toyama. Okay? Toyama's message. いっぱい集めてる. Yes, collection.
Amen.
Message collections.
Okay.
Toyama's message collections.
I love it.
Okay?
I love the energy.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much for talking to us.
Yeah.
You got any predictions? You got a score?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Japan?
Yeah.
What is the score? The score. What do you
Yeah.
think? 1-0? 1-0?
2-0
Oh.
win Japan!
I love this guy. I love this freaking guy. I love the Japanese people. I told you that yesterday, and I mean it. Here's Croatians literally parading in downtown Dallas today. This is really cool. This really is great that we have the World Cup here, especially since I don't have to deal with the traffic in Arlington. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? That is so freaking cool. That really is. And then here we go. Let's do a little flashback from the other day. Thankfully, that terror attack was thwarted at America 250, the big UFC event. Let's go to my favorite piece of video here with this guy and what he says.
Alex Pereira, I want a shama on your mama. And lastly, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America?
Hey, Barack, I got to go to the bathroom. Pull over. I need to use a urinal. And then everybody's freaking out, mad about it, denouncing it. There's nothing to do. It's freaking hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. I mean, come on, dude. That was out of left field. That's why it was so funny, among many other reasons. Now comes, what's this guy's name? Jim Acosta and some woke leftist lady to interpret this for us, to tell us what's really going on.
What you are watching Trump do right now is deliberately tear that apart. And he is doing so on the same cultural argument, of course, that people used to back the first Gilded Age. That is, these culture wars that turn white Americans against marginalized people of color.
Right.
That's the bottom line there. So, I mean, it's not really a stretch to say that the same impulse that created the UFC fight on the White House lawn is the impulse that really pushed lynching in the late 19th century against Black Americans overwhelmingly.
Oh, boy. There you go. You got it. This is lynching. Do I need to say any more? And then I like how, these people are crazy. I'll tell you that. This show's been brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Use Randy Martin. He's my guy. He's the best. And I will see you tomorrow. And tune in Wednesday morning from 8 to 11 Central, 9 to noon Eastern, as I fill in again for the